on like a cot and he has no other furniture in the room and there's no lighting. It's just dark. Like it's like he's not
this
even
is like
trying.
real male living spaces. Our male living spaces.
It definitely was that.
Do you live like this, bro? Like, what the fuck?
The only thing it was missing was just like one singular lazy boy chair in front of the one TV. Like that's all it needed. But yeah, I thought that one little scene was one of the funniest things ever. And it really expresses just the kind of writing and film you're watching. And then from there on, you can kind of just forgive some of the more dumb elements because I don't know if they're necessarily doing all of this on purpose, but it just ends up working anyway. So, yeah,
you definitely at a certain point just have to kind of you're either going to groove with it or you're not.
Yeah,
you kind of just have to accept that
it's stupid.
this is really, really over the top to the point of being kind of funny, even though the movie is sometimes trying to creep you out and not be funny.
Right. I find this to be more of a dark comedy when I watch it. To be honest, I think it might be because of like I could maybe understand, being in the 90s and seeing this and thinking like Mark Wahlberg is an actual presence that would be kind of threatening and all of that. But just because of his reputation and because of the way I look at Mark Wahlberg, watching this makes me more laugh than feel like scared, even though he does, he's a big guy. He's definitely a threatening physical presence. It's just that
I think the direction is doing some work for him, and there are some moments where like there is some really eventually gruesomely violent detail, and there is some eventually some really solidly directed suspense sequences, and those do, for me, eventually overpower the fact that his actual performance isn't like the scariest, creepiest thing in the world. I mean, there's a couple moments where he gets to like go for it. Like there's one moment where he assaults Alyssa Milano's character Margot, and it starts off as like this car chase where he's trying to like ram her off the road. Oh yeah. And then he gets out of the car, and it's the only part in the movie where it switches to this really erratic handheld style. Mm-hmm. And it's so that he can get really up close with the actors as he like grabs her throat, and he's just like, what the fuck did you say to her? And he's really going off. And at a certain point too, I think he's choking her out, but then he's also like trying to kiss her and being like, you love it, and like that stuff is silly, but it was like viscerally dangerous enough in the filmmaking that the fact that he is giving kind of a silly performance does kind of make him a little threatening in that kind of way. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like abusive bad boy kind of stuff that he's doing, and it is slightly more threatening than you would expect coming from Mark Wahlberg delivering the kind of performance that he's delivering here.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like when
also it's a contrast to the romantic stuff in this, which is also really silly, actually. Like him on the roller coaster sequence. Oh my god,
it's so funny, and it's to what is it? Wild Horses, I believe.
It is an alt rock cover of Wild Horses by a band called the Sundays. Okay. I love this scene. It is so ridiculous, and they shot this at what's that place in Vancouver? Yeah, so it's called this ride is actually called the Coaster, and it is one of the biggest attractions at Playland in Vancouver, which is sort of subs in for Seattle for parts of the film that they shot there. Mm-hmm. And it's this big wooden roller coaster lit up with all these lights on it, and again, it's the kind of thing that you would think is romantic when you were 16, which is kind of adorable in a way, but also it's like it's not particularly romantic that they're riding the roller coaster and he just slides his fingers into her crotch.
But the way they film it makes
the way that they film it, man. Yeah,
it's like dreamlike. Like, it goes into like kind of like slow motion while the Wild Horses song is playing, and it does give off this very like I'm free and young and experience something for the first time. But I just love that it presents it as like the anticipation is not only the roller coaster going up the tracks, but it's him like getting closer and closer to her leg and then going inside her inner thigh and then eventually up her skirt.
Yeah.
And then as he's doing that and she's kind of, having pleasure or whatever, the roller coaster just starts shooting down and the wind blows in their face. And
her bodily sensation is replicated by the camera, like rollicking around on the coaster and the lights and it's being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that what you are experiencing subjectively in the filmmaking is just Reese Witherspoon being like finger banged
by Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
to wild horses.
I love cinema, baby. Oh man,
that's just movies right there.
Yeah, that's to
the most like again like this guy who she met once and was like, don't they stop making that car because they kind of like blow up now? And he's just like, that's why I got her sitting in the cold junkyard. It's not her fault they didn't put her together right. And what's funny, though, is that you do find it is something that you would find believably deep to a 16-year-old girl.
Oh, yeah. I probably threw a move or two when I was 16 like that, It was about my, like, skateboard or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but this relationship, the one thing I'll say about this, too, is that, again, there were some bizarre, kind of sudden moments that happen in Poison Ivy. But I think that once again, we kind of made the argument that they're so emotionally expressed through the character work that you kind of just, you feel it in the performances a little bit. You kind of go with it. There's some moments in this that just out of nowhere, there's kind of I guess supposed to be like a screenwriting convenience to it.
That's
where
what
like,
it feels
okay,
like a lot of the time.
Now they're together. Now they need to kind of be upset with each other. And the way that this movie does this, it's so fast. Literally, it is like.